Welcome to the Dreams by Any Means Motivation Station. I'm your host, Ed Doxson. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Hope everyone July is going well, off to a good start. Today is July 11th. My last tapped into you all right before the 4th of July holiday. So a little over a week ago. And episode 5 was talking about the end of quarter 2 going into quarter 3, which we titled and labeled as halftime. We talked about halftime and talked about, this first, 2 quarters of this year, being able to learn from some of our wins, learn from some of our areas of improvement. But, comparing it to that thing of a sports analogy of when you're in a game, if it's football, if it's basketball, then you get 4 quarters. And, at that halftime break, you go back to the locker room, you switch sides, you decide to, try to keep moving your game plan forward, look at some areas of improvement and where you need to go. So we're just kind of talking in that episode about, what we need to do, man, to continue to push forward in this summer separation series. Today's episode is episode 6, and I'm going to title this The Blueprint for many reasons. First and foremost, today is the J25 Blueprint album anniversary live in New York City for my favorite album of all time, The Blueprint. And, I'm ecstatic to be able to witness this. And I think today's episode, not even think, the title of today's episode is timely and it's perfect for this summer separation series of what we're going through, of trying to improve ourselves, to the best of our ability. But just take a backstory, right? So when you think about a blueprint, right, the blueprint is described in the figurative language as a blueprint that a strategic master plan or model. For example, a business might refer to a strategic expansion model as a blueprint for success, or a government might publish a blueprint for economic reform. Now, I'm talking about the blueprint being motivated and inspired by Jay-Z's album, The Blueprint, which is my favorite album. I was 9 years old when this album came out. I remember when this album came out. It actually came out on September 11th, a day that no one, can't forget. And, the theme of the album, and when you look at Jay-Z's career today, when you listen to a lot of the lyrics of the things that he was kind of, predicting what he was going to do, it's a beautiful thing, man, to really witness. This album for me, like I say, I almost play this album every day. If it's not a song or two or the entire album. And, for one, I just love the confidence early on in his career of what he was talking about, from a business perspective. He was a rapper, but he was letting us know how he was transitioning and crossing over into a businessman. I think some of his most memorable songs in his career comes from this album. And when you just go back and listen to the album today, it's crazy to see how he spoke so much stuff into existence of what he was going to do. But again, we're talking about a blueprint, and I gave that definition of how it's used in a figurative language because everyone has a blueprint. When we think about what it actually is, when you go all the way back, it's an original method that was invented by Sir John Herschel in 1842. Now, these were originally invented for chemical processes, technical drawings over sensitive chemicals exposed to light, when people are building something. But that's how we look at a blueprint for ourselves when we're building our lives. I know you hear people say this all the time. I gave you the blueprint, or someone may say I gave them the blueprint. And they're pretty much saying I gave you the structural plan of how something can be built, sustained, and, created. And that's what the phase of summer separation we got to walk into on this 6th episode. If you've been practicing the details, the keys, the themes that I've been talking about, you're in the separation phase. You survived the separation, you broke habits, you let people go, you got closer to God. So now what? Your mind should be clear, your heart should be pure, your thoughts should be, vivid. And this episode is about building the life that you prayed for. Separation wasn't a destination, it was a construction site. And in this episode, we'll create the blueprint for the next season by defining your standards, protecting your peace, developing discipline, strengthening faith, and refusing to return to the version of yourself God already delivered you from. Now, this is the 2nd year of summer separation. So as I said, this year is more intentional, it's more direct, it may be a little more harsh, but nonetheless, it's for the betterment of our lives. This new life doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. It happens by what we decide to design of what we're going to do. The blueprint we create for our lives, looking at some of those outcomes that we want to see. So the first step of the blueprint, we got to set the foundation. The foundation of why we're separated from people, places, and things. Healing before building that blueprint and, building that structure. And, you just got to think about scripture sometime. I think about Matthew 7, verse 24 to 25, and it says, build your house on the rock. So, when we're laying foundation, you're laying foundation. Foundation is important because when you lay a foundation, that's what's going to hold up and sustain whatever you're building. And I bring that up to say because sometimes we have all these goals of what we want to do, how we're going to do it, and we might do it for 30 days. We might do it for 7 days, and then we fall off and we go back to the, the unfortunate habits and ways that we had before that we was trying to escape. So if you build this foundation strong enough, the foundation is going to hold you up and allow you to continue to build on top of your goals and on top of the things and the new person that you want to see as you go through the summer separation. Through that process, we're going to have some new standards. Your boundaries are going to be your blueprint. What you tolerate, that's going to, shape what your blueprint is. Who gets access to your space and your peace is going to shape what your blueprint is. When you're building something, it's not just about, feelings. It's not just about, oh, I don't want to think what this person's going to think. Oh, I wonder how this is going to. No, you're looking at the finished product of what you want to create. And the third thing, which is important, is daily systems. I saw a post other day from a guy in corporate America, and he was talking about how there's no excuse for people who are busy working 70 hours a week and say they don't have time to work out. He said it's not a personal problem, it's not a scheduling problem, it's a system problem. And the thing is that your daily systems is really going to shape your habits. And that's even for myself, right? My daily systems that I'm doing right now, I'm walking. When y'all hear me on the podcast, I'm walking a lot. Y'all follow me on Instagram, I'm walking a lot. When I get up in the morning, I pray, I read the daily word, read some scripture, I listen to podcasts. I found these daily systems that help my day move in a better way. Like, for example, y'all know, I'm talking about the blueprint. I love music. But instead of starting my day off with music, I try to start it off with a sermon, start it off with a podcast, start it off with reading a book. Something that stimulates my mind and something I can kind of feast on in that moment instead of just getting that music dopamine, that may turn us up and get us ready for the gym, but just looking at what works in my system. Now, your system is going to be different from my system, so, everybody won't have the same system, but just look at things that keep you going every morning and, don't sidetrack you. So think about, prayer before your phone, prioritizing the gym and your health, financial discipline, protecting your time. People say this all the time, I'm not a morning person. I'm not this, I'm not that. Man, I get up early in the morning because before I start my day, before I give my 8 hours, 40 plus hours of corporate America, I need to have some time with myself. If that's on the walk, if that's in the gym. And, that has become a part of my system so much in an unfortunate way where I don't get the proper sleep that I need because my body is like used to just waking up at that 6, 5 in the morning to go outside and get some sunlight, to get some water, to get, hit a wind and just really embrace nature. So, but again, that's part of my system. Now it's like when I don't do that, I'm thrown off track. And nothing's bad with that, right? Because we're talking about a good habit as part of the system. With some people, if they don't smoke a cigarette before their day start, that's part of their system. But that's something that's detrimental to their health. You get what I'm saying? So you got to find things that are daily habits that can become part of your system. Because once your system gets to rolling, everything else just fall in place. It don't even feel hard no more. Discipline doesn't feel, difficult. It feels like I'm doing what I need to do and I'm doing what I love to do. Number 5, we're going to talk about the vision. Where do you see yourself 1 year from now? Career, relationships, faith, finances, fitness, body, all those different type of things. Where do you see yourself a year from now? Sorry, I hear the noise in the background. Like I said, we in New York, but where do you see yourself that 1 year from today? And how do you see yourself getting there to accomplish that? Ponder on those things, look at the system and ask yourself, how is your system supporting that? And number 6, last but not least, Don't abandon the blueprint. You know, we put out this big white sheet of paper. People do their vision boards. We write down our goals, our sticky notes, all those type things, right? But then we end up abandoning it. So, don't abandon it. The consistency is going to lead to the results. There's going to be days you don't feel like it. There's going to be days you feel like it's not paying off. There's going to be days you get challenged and tried from every situation, every person in your life. But go back to the foundation of your blueprint and continue to work your plan. So take 30 minutes this week, y'all, this upcoming week, and write down a blueprint for your life. Not the social media life that you see, not the quick TikTok reel that you see, the life that God is calling you to. Every building starts with a blueprint and every purpose starts with obedience. So y'all know, like I always say, hustle plus faith equals success. Let's create our blueprint so we could be just like Jay-Z 25 years from now, looking at what we built, looking at the foundation that we created, and looking at it that no matter what happens, no matter who throw rocks at it, no matter who try to tear it down, there's something that's here to sustain and something that will outlive us. So y'all follow Dreams by Any Means, DBAMTV on Instagram and YouTube. I am about to finish up my walk. I'm gonna go get a workout in, go get me some good bodega food, and I'm gonna have a great day. The summer separation, I'm locked in, and this is a gift to myself to come up here to be able to experience this. It all worked out, and I'm happy and I'm excited, man. I never seen Jay. And also before I leave, man, let me say something too. Like, it's deeper than music, man. As a black man in America, to see a man of this stature, this type of success, from business to sports to music, displaying what it means to be married, a father, a businessman, giving back to the community, a man coming from urban communities, it's just a blessing to see, man. It's like a Black History moment right here, man, and you notice that when we have those strong black men who created those foundations, people always try to tear it down. We done seen a lot of I won't even say leaders, because sometimes we just put that word on somebody just because they rich and successful, but we've seen a lot of our ambitious black men get taken down. And, they done been trying to take Jay down, but like I said, when you build that blueprint, that foundation, and you solid as a rock, man, it ain't nothing that can take you down but God. So y'all build y'all blueprint. Let's get to it. I'm going to tap in with y'all on the next episode.